Got to go back to the funeral service or the memorial service for the sniper with the most kills in the history of the U.S. military, Chris Kyle, retired Navy SEAL sniper and author, who, along with his workout buddy, was shot dead by a third military person, a former Marine, who apparently was suffering from PTSD. And the New York Times reported the service. They said it was a service filled with prayers, eulogies, and country tunes sung by Randy Travis. His wife, Taya Kyle, told the audience, quote, "God knew it would take the toughest and softest-hearted man on earth to get a hard-headed, cynical, hard-loving woman like me to see what God needed me to see, and he chose you for the job. He chose well," end quote. Now, we have to remember where Chris Kyle got his 160 kills. It was in Iraq. And if your short-term memory hasn't been completely wiped out, you'll remember that Iraq didn't do anything to us to deserve the invasion. Back in a different time, 1990, 91, when was it? Iraq, according to the official story, tried to steal oil that belonged to Kuwait. And as a result of that, the Saudis got very upset. And the next thing you know, George Herbert Walker Bush and Norman Schwarzkopf and Colin Powell all decided to invade and just wipe out thousands of Iraqis. And then George Herbert Walker Bush's son decided to finish the job that his dad didn't finish and make sure that Saddam Hussein was dead and that the American oil companies got to steal the oil. So that's where Chris Kyle shot 160 people dead. Now, let me ask you something. If we were invaded tomorrow by a force that bombed the living hell out of us before they invaded and rendered our military pretty much incapable of responding, and then this invading force sat a guy up on a rooftop someplace, and every time we tried to resist the invasion, the sniper would shoot us one after another. What would we consider that person? So the point I'm just trying to make is it's also crazily relative, isn't it? For example, why did we see the Nazis who took from the Jews everything the Jews had, consigned them to ghettos? We saw that as bad and horrible. And then when the extermination started to occur, that was just beyond belief. And yet the Jews in Israel who take from the Palestinians and send them into ghettos and build walls around them and force them to use roads that they can't use. To the Palestinians, the Israelis are an invading force. Why do we see what the Israeli Jews do to the Palestinians? Why do we see that official U.S. policy as a good thing? I mean, when the Nazis did it to the European Jews, it was seen as a horrible thing. So when an American is trained to sit above it all and plink people off, shoot people dead 160 times or whatever it was, And 7,000 people turn out to honor him as a hero, I guess. According to the New York Times yesterday, the man who murdered Chris Kyle and his friend, allegedly, his name is Eddie Ray Routh. Eddie Ray Routh is just a kid, 25. I mean, no offense to people who are 23, 24, 25, but come on. Routh's name was, according to the New York Times, never spoken during the service. And according to a spokesman for the Dallas Cowboys, 7,000 people attended this service. Relatives and friends sat at the 50-yard line as pictures of Mr. Kyle were displayed on a giant screen. Many of the mourners were Texans who had never met Mr. Kyle. On the stage, and I saw a picture of this in the New York Times. It was just kind of strange. On the stage, a helmet and a vest were draped on a Christian cross behind a pair of boots and 2 rifles. His coffin rested at the center of the field. Motorcycle riders in leather jackets stood at attention at the sidelines holding American flags. So in Iraq, America's super sniper was known for sitting on a rooftop with a bolt-action rifle and killing people, describing his use of his deadly skill as payback for the 9/11 attacks. That's the part that just won't process for me. I mean, I can understand grief. I've had family members die. I've never had a family member be murdered, shot down the way Chris Kyle was. I can understand grief. I can understand the empty feeling that Chris Kyle's widow must feel. She has 2 little kids. I can understand, and I understand. I'm not saying I can feel it because I can't, but I can understand the sadness these children are going to feel. I get all that. I really do. But what I can't understand is why a man would go to Iraq and kill 160 people and say it's payback for the attacks of 9/11. The Iraqis didn't do that. The Saudis did that. And as far as the Iraqis that Mr. Kyle shot dead, what were they doing? Were they trying to repel an invader? Us? Were they trying to just raise hell and kill people for the sheer pleasure of it and therefore deserve to die? I mean, what were they doing? Did America's super sniper know? Did he have intelligence on each and every one of those kills, knowing that each and every one of those people was not an individual defending an invasion of his homeland, but a real bad guy who wanted to come to America and kill Americans? Did Mr. Kyle know that? Was he able to make that distinction? I don't know. I don't know what to make of all this. In the meantime, the President of the United States gives the Congressional Medal of Honor to a 31-year-old Army Staff Sergeant who did, in fact, show conspicuous gallantry in Afghanistan in a firefight that was one of the worst of the war. Again, stipulating that there was a reason for us to be in Afghanistan. What was our reason for being in Iraq? On foreign soil.